at the level of the DOJ to weed out such persecution?
I don't see why not.
Okay. And since you believe that, yes, affirmative yes, and a sort of weaker yes, can you give me 3 cases in national news over the last 10 years of Christians being persecuted on the basis of their Christianity? Just in fact, just give me 2.
Well, I think this would be at a campus level and programming. This is probably at an institutional level rather than to address. It's not like anyone's getting dragged through the street with a cross.
No, well, to be fair, being dragged through the streets with the cross happens every year. It's a reenactment of the Passion of the Christ, but you're not a Christian, so you wouldn't understand it. But in any case, can you then tell us what's going on campuses whereby Christians are being persecuted on college campuses? I need specifics now.
Yeah. This is not my battle. I'm not placing this legislation, or nor have I studied the issue that much. So, okay. Yeah, we can go through some examples of anti-Christian bias, and persecution is a little bit of a strong word. That would mean a criminal level, or some systematic oppression of the Christians. I'm sure it happens. We can go through, if you'll give me some time to look through the stories, I'm sure I can find some examples that we can chew on.
Incredible. That's incredible. I really appreciate it. But can you tell me, you're a man of science, can you tell me why DOJ got rid of the department in the NIH that deals with infectious diseases, particularly sexually transmitted infectious diseases? Why would that unit and their research need to end?
Yeah, I think they just reassigned that.
Nope, it closed. People were fired. Can you also tell me why? Hold on, this was a big one. I saw this the other day. I was appalled. Can you tell me why? Here it is. They recently cut the Women's Health Initiative. The NIH began the initiative back in 1991. It started under Bush. It was about women's health prevention and study. So they specifically look at things that affect women, female bodies, things, as you well know, like cervical cancer, breast cancer. Of course, men can get breast cancer, but you know what I'm saying. It was a long-term project. They were looking particularly at heart disease, things like heart disease and osteoporosis in postmenopausal women, which of course is important research. It was probably best known for its study of the risks of estrogen plus progestin hormone therapy to treat symptoms of menopause. It estimates that research prevented 126,000 cases of breast cancer and 76,000 cases of heart disease over the following decade, which saved more than $35 billion in direct medical costs. It produced important study and research on calcium plus vitamin D supplements to prevent bone fractures in postmenopausal women, et cetera. So I can go on and on and on and on. Why did that have to be cut?
What was it, a grant? I haven't read about it. Or is it a department?
It's a grant, it's a department. Does it matter? It was the Women's Health Initiative. It was a federal program.
Yeah, what is it, a forever program? Or
yes, it was under the national. Yes, it was under the national. Yes, it was under the national. You're a medical doctor. You don't know about this?
No, I don't know about the Women's Health Initiative.
Okay. It's under the NIH. I got it. It's under the NIH. It was a long-term project under the NIH, which had been funded time and time again. It's based in D.C., but there were regional centers. It saved almost $40 billion in direct medical costs and detected hundreds of thousands of cases of heart disease and breast cancer early. It also has a major study on estrogen plus progestin hormone therapy to treat symptoms of menopause. It also had a bunch of stuff on vitamins and other therapeutics for bone loss, bone deterioration, and fracture. Is this DEI?
Was it canceled for DEI?
It was just canceled.
Yeah, let me look into why it was canceled, and we can get back.
To save money. It was canceled to save money, I'm telling you.
So that's not allowed to happen, or what?
It is allowed, but I'm saying, why does it
Do you
do
think
it?
these initiatives need to run on forever?
Yes, this one does.
Okay. I mean, if you think it's irreplaceable and couldn't have been done by any other authority, be sure that that is accounted for. People will have mammogram access and other stuff that these people were. Well, I mean, you said they were saving people with heart disease and breast cancer, so they were doing some sort of screening on people, I would
But
imagine.
you're not following me. Guess what?
What's that?
They had to they restored it. You're not even following the news. You know why they restored it? Because it's not replaceable, like you just said. I did that on purpose. You are so ready to defend anything that this administration and Donald Trump does. You don't even stand on business for your own life's work at all. You need to go to a cult detox center, bro. This is bad. They had to restore it from all the political pressure because it was disgusting. This is what Doge went through and did. They restored it. And I didn't tell you they restored it. I just told you about the cuts to see if you would say, man, that's kind of fucked up. I disagree with that. You actually went to defend it.
Good one, Goat. Good one.
I know it was a good one. I did it on purpose. You people are in a cult. Would you take a bullet for your wife or Donald Trump?
What did I say? I said, let me learn more about the Women's Health Initiative. I'll come back and we'll talk about it.
No, you said can it not be done elsewhere?
I said I don't know about it from the beginning of that conversation.
You said can it not be done elsewhere?
So good job on it, got you. When I started off by saying I don't know.
But you continue to talk about it, and you said can it not be done elsewhere? Was it a grant? Was it ongoing? You had all these questions which were getting defending the clock. No. And then you said, did they need to do it there? And then you made something about mammograms. This is not about mammograms. You're a man of science. Let me ask you a question. If you could only choose one.
Why would the Women's Health Initiative not have mammograms in it?
Let me finish. It was a long-term stuff. It wasn't about detection. It wasn't for patient.
You said they saved lives. They did screening on heart disease.
Because they do research. No. The research. It's not about accessibility to mammograms. It wasn't a treatment center. It was a research program. It was through the NIH. Anyway, let me just continue. If you had to choose, you had to choose one. Would you take a bullet to save the life of your child? I'm sorry, of your wife or of Donald Trump? Brother Eptel, please answer that question.
Yeah, I would save the wife and child are younger. Trump has had a long and good life.
Okay, what if Trump was guaranteed to live until 150? Then what would you do?
Yeah, we got to take care of those close to us before we take care of others. I'm not libtard.
Thank you very much. Eptel, let me ask you a question. Do you feel more American or Indian if you had to choose one?
American.
Okay. Then another question. What do you think about the impending war between India and Pakistan?
I think it may not go to that. So I think it's 50-50 whether we'll even go into a war. They do skirmishes all the time.
I agree. This one's pretty bad.
Used to skirmish. It's bad because of social media virality. Mm-hmm. And so everybody knows what happened within minutes, it seemed.
I totally agree with you. I agree with you 100%. All right, I'm done. That's all. You got to go back to being a Democrat. This MAGA thing is ruining your brain, bro.
Go to Democrat detox. I went through Democrat detox already. I'm clean.
You went through one of those detoxes where somebody comes out the other side emaciated with hair loss and lose 3 fingers. I was so glad I went to that detox center. I'm clean. What happened to your fingers? They cut them off. That's what your detox. It's real bad, bro. But I appreciate you. You know, I was. Eftal's one of my favorite.
Hey, what's up, GOAT? What's going on, man?
What's up?
Is libtard supposed to be like a word for retard?
Yeah, it's a portmanteau of liberal and retard.
It never dawned on me till right now. I'm like, man, why? It needs to be the same people crying about
It never.
Jasmine calling our president Hot Wheels. Man, get the fuck out of here. I mean, our governor Hot Wheels. Man, like.
It never dawned on you because you're not a white man. That's white people stuff.
This is true, man. This is true, GOAT. And I'm not even really in close proximity to white people. If not for this app, I mean, I see white people, but I wouldn't interact with white people probably. I wouldn't talk to white people probably 90% of the time if not for this app. That's what's crazy. I'd like to be around more white, like work with people, you know. I'm cool with working with anybody, but this app can reinforce, man, that I'm going to stick to my kind. I'll say that.
Yeah. Healthier and wealthy. I'm sorry. They yeah, that's how segregation works, Rob.
Yeah, I mean, look, man, I'm not. You know, obviously we know each other. I ain't one of them niggas that's begging for us to go back to 1960. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not stupid. Like I don't romanticize history like that. I just understand that this is just kind of how things work, man. Like people gonna navigate the things that are closer to them and like-minded people, whether that's because of physical attributes or just whatever, man. People gonna live by who they want to live by. So I don't have no problem with it. My big issue with MAGA people is like no matter how much you give them facts, no matter how much you see this stuff is not going well, they're still going to spin it. They're still going to spin it. And I don't know, man. I think that's why I stay coming in these rooms trying to talk to them, because I'm trying to understand what was it about this man that got y'all out here turning fucking idiots and fucking cult members. That y'all so fucking dumb, the bulk of y'all not even really, like y'all not even high income earners.
Eftal is. But your general
I hope all is well. Yo, go. Real quick, my brother. Why aren't you in certain spaces anymore? Is there any particular reason?
Which ones?
I don't want to call out anybody in particular.
Well, we all know.
You know. Well, all right. I believe it's called politically correct.
Oh, I thought you was talking about PhD's room. I'm glad you called it out. Oh, yeah. There was a moment of really horrible. Well, I'll tell you, there was a moment where somebody was called a set of names I didn't like. But what I specifically did not like was the idea that, so I dragged this guy named Your Honor for a while. I don't know if you know who that is. And I was told by Patty and other people agreed that because we all voted for Democrats, we're on the same side, and I need to be nicer to these people. And I was the one who was castigated and not him. And Patty has a way, and I've said this many times, Patty has a way, I've said it to her, and I'll say it to her again. I've told Patty, I'm not an E6. I'm not an E4. I'm not under your command. So she just talked to me in a particular kind of way that is just, it wasn't fun anymore. So those are my personal reasons. So I just bounced.
Got it, bro. Got it.
I'm not an E4. Like I'm not under Patty's command, if that makes sense.
No, I got it. Loud and clear, brother. I got it 100%.
And the idea that you can't critique Democrats because you are another Democrat or you're on your side is insane.
To say the least, brother.
Yeah, I don't owe Aram or Your Honor anything. So, yeah.
Yeah, but go, like, you bring up a deeper point when it comes to particularly him. There's a couple of them in the room, and there's a deeper meaning behind why they're there. And, but that's a whole other conversation. But, like, it is what it is, Go. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for, explaining. Y'all, it's always a pleasure, you know what I'm saying? Always, we don't always agree, but, at least you make, clear, concise, intelligible arguments. So
thank you very much. I appreciate it. Yeah, it's true. I mean, it had happened a lot, but I think if you are a Democrat and it's a Democratic showroom, the Democrats need to argue with each other more. That's the problem. They don't argue with each other enough on some of these issues, especially now out of power. And I'll tell you what the straw was. We were talking about Chuck Schumer's hold on, Sabrina, can we help you?
I'm sorry?
Can we help you?
No, just listening.
This space is for men only.
I don't care.
Okay, you need to go to the bottom, sis. This is a men only space. Okay, we'll move you down. This is for men only. Hold on one second.
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
This is the.
Bring it back.
We did this like we did this is like at the mosque. Take your ass over there and make me a bean pie and a sandwich. All right. Let me continue. So we were particularly talking about the
we
close
are here in
Chengdu,
China.
And before it happened,
I literally just started, bro.
Schumer had signaled that the Democrats were going to do it, and I was in favor of it. Everybody was in favor of it. And then he didn't do it.
I'm not going to yap too much.
I listened to his explanation.
I'm not going to yap too much about the half fun in China.
I listened to people like Biden and others who are government workers.
Make sure to hit that like button, chat. Make sure to subscribe, man. Let's go.
Over time, I don't know. It's still the A-Rap here.
Watch this, chat. Watch how they all go.
Wait,
watch.
Me and Phil the A-Rap have been talking about it.
Let's go.
And this was maybe a month ago.
What the fuck is that? That's John Cena. What the fuck John Cena doing?
And so we just admitted that Schumer was right and we were wrong. And it's worked out. All the polling that was supposed to happen from changing the government era is all turning against Trump.
Yes, I like
it's been
it.
devastating. Even while we
What the hell we got to do? What the hell is this? What the fuck going on?
And he can't. He has to write all times. And then we got in the back and forth about Ruben Gallagher's candidacy. I spent 20 minutes one day, looking at some screens, found out he was on candidate.
So why is this younger than me? Oh, do it so. Yeah.
That's crazy.
I want to see this song.
That is madness, bro. That is utter madness. That is madness personified, man. Like, listen, I didn't even hear the naysay. Well, it kind of touched my radar, but I thought that Schumer was just a practical. Yes.
Exactly. No, I'm just agreeing with you. I was totally wrong. I 100%, bro. Like, she said you were loud and she said you were wrong and loud.
I don't know what just happened there, but my friend is recording a room that I don't have access to.
If you somehow are alienating the community of Kashmir, in the long run, you are more like siding with the very version that your enemies are siding on. You're becoming the aid to your enemies. If you say Kashmiris on the whole are doing it, you are, I think, whatever LET is doing, you're doing the same job. LET 24/7 say they have the policy that Kashmir doesn't belong to India. Kashmir
Need auto insurance? Well, you've come to the right place.
You and LET have
the internet.
Spokesperson, rather, they have the same goal.
About to go slow sample in Chile. That's what we doing South America. Let's go.
By speaking it in such a
You hear that? That's the sound of sizzling. Smell that smell. Harley, one
Nobody's
second. Can I answer?
Sure.
Yeah. On what universe is Pakistan an Islamic country?
Well, by virtue of its Muslim majority, but also it rules through Islamic Sharia law. It might not be perfect, but compared to India, who is an active enemy of Islam, they side with Israel.
Does pornography happen in Pakistan?
Of course it does. It's not a
Objective truth.
Well, I don't think they have like
That doesn't mean
either. But the point is, dude, like if you created like some being that was just as sort of sentient as you know, and then you tortured it for fun, that'd be kind of bad.
I see no evidence of being torturing for fun. So
I didn't say. Look, I'm not leveling that accusation at God right now. I'm just saying like that would be a bad thing.
well, yeah, if some
He's performing. His wife came to him and told him something. I believe that's verse 19 in Matthew 27. Let me just go to it real quick. His wife.
That sounds like we get the fuck.
Ados room?
It was like it wasn't an Ados room, but it was Adosians there trying to make it. You know what I'm saying? And you know, I'd be laughing for the most part. You know what I mean? And just be funny, man. Just be funny.
What up, you anti-Semitic Jew-hating piece of shit? What are you doing this beautiful Sunday?
Mother should have swallowed you, you waste of sperm. Fucking filthy animal, you bastard. Yo, this is another page for me to block.
Yeah,
This motherfucker, you filthy animal. You're an animal.
Well, he was his favorite person on Clubhouse, bro.
Yeah, I know. He's a filthy piece of shit. Let me bring him back up one more time, man.
What up, you Jew-hating piece of shit? What are you doing this beautiful Sunday?
Shut up. See that? Put your hand up so I can bring you back up. Raise your hand. Raise your hand, boy. Wow. Anyway,
Man, your face looks like a rat. You got pubic hairs on your chin. It's disgusting. You Jew-hating anti-Semitic piece of shit. What are you doing today? Anything special? You're just gonna waste your time creating Jew-hate content, talking about nothing, wasting your life. You're so pathetic.
hey, comedian. Listen.
What makes you think it's
Wait, tell me.
What makes me think he creates Jew-hate rooms for years? He's a rat. Look at his face.
Hold on.
His fucking pubic hair's all over his face. He doesn't even have a full beard. Look at his cheeks.
Comedian. I'm no better than Jesus. If Jesus was an anti-Semite, could you blame anybody else? He said that you're from the synagogue of Satan. This was Jesus. Bro, this was Jesus. He said you guys pray to the devil. This was Jesus. The fuck? Hey, yo.
He says you're projecting in the comments.
Yo, bro. I'm busy, okay.
Wait, are you taking your dog on a walk?
How y'all liking the movie You so far? I mean, the TV show. I'm on the second episode, so don't spoil it too. Brain functioning for extended periods of time. Cleveland investigates synthetic psychedelic drug for postpartum depression, which is fascinating. We have some tech stuff too. Mind Men, good data about psychedelic stigma, clouds investor confidence. And then there was one more about Clear Mind completes its political.
And Trump's big reconciliation bill, they don't even have it written yet.
So here's the thing. and I'm gonna be really honest with this. I think in Biden's moments of clarity, dude was actually absolutely brilliant, and he had some good ideas in his moments of clarity, as few and far between as they were. All right, but the cognitive decline was hidden from the American public, and when it became apparent, the Democratic Party demanded that he step aside.
It's a deflection.
He didn't willingly step aside.
It's a red herring.
Okay, when you say it's a red herring, what do you mean?
Yeah, you're misleading. You're distracting. I'm asking you, if he was so bad, why was he a more effective legislator throughout his presidency than Trump was in his first?
It's called the auto pen, goat. He had an auto pen.
Okay. So, what's all right? I don't think he was. He's been a more effective.
They kicked me. Oh man.
It's just like, okay, those are this, there's some like very intuitive feature that the first class of states has in common that the second class of states lacks. I mean, maybe like two other examples to the things that lack phenomenal consciousness or the illusion thereof, like dreamless sleep and being under total anesthesia. It's like, okay, once we have that, then we just want to single out like the subset of those states that we call painful, right? And the idea is like, okay, those are the states that typically go with like bodily damage or some like, perception thereof.
Okay, so basically, like, you can say the same thing as the phenomenal realist, but then you just kind of bracket it with like it's illusory.
Well, I mean, there's that, but just more generally, I'm trying to give you like an intuitive class of examples and counterexamples and say, okay, you can figure out what these have in common. And the illusionists will agree that you can figure it out because you do think that those states exhibit at least the like illusory of phenomenality. And it's like, okay, once we have that class, then I think the idea of what pain is like pretty clear.
Yeah, that works. And you think it would be wrong to cause suffering for like a robot if it could actually feel pain?
Yeah. Roomba life matter.
Yeah. How can they feel pain without consciousness?
That's the magic question.
They just would be probably conscious in some sense.
Just to be clear, it's intuitive to me to agree with you guys. It's counterintuitive to say that something can feel pain without being conscious or aware of it and having some sense of awareness of it. And I also agree there seems to be something.
You want to say it's because it lacks a soul or something, right, Andrew?
What's that?
You want to say it lacks a soul or something like that.
Well, I take consciousness to be part of the soul, tied to the soul. So I don't really.
Right, which is why you would say they don't have consciousness.
Oh yeah. Which is why I say I don't think they can have it. That's true. But I'm saying if we were able to give it consciousness, then yes, I do think there would be some moral consideration there. But I did want to ask real quick. Did Andrew? Because I hope we came to some conclusion with last night's discussion. Did we make it through all that, or where did we end up at?
I mean, I remember you and Albedo and Sasha talking for a while, but I think we came to the conclusion that what I'm talking about only applies to very specific concepts of God. So it's not every concept of it.
Well, you thought it applied to the Christian God broadly.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay, that's what we need to target then.
Can y'all give a quick summary just so we can be caught up?
Yeah. So Andrew Kiss is an atheist, and he has this. I asked him before.
Not hardcore atheist, more.
Okay, he's an agnostic
atheist.
Yeah, he's an agnostic atheist, and he's says that the Christian God, he's an atheist towards that God because that God, it clearly has problems because it has its attributes of being perfect, morally perfect or whatever, all good, all knowing, omnipotent, whatever. And then on top of that, it must be the case that God conceived of evil sans creation. And so therefore, that God just either doesn't exist, as stated. If you're going to say it's morally perfect, well, that's a contradiction by his lights, to have God conceiving evil, which I think is crazy. But that's the way he puts it.
Conceive in what sense?
Well, right. So he wants to say that. Well, I'll let him say it. Go ahead, Andrew. How do you?
You've said it plenty of times. Just that the idea of evil could even possibly, in all these different words that you hate, be conceived of originally, generated by God's mind. All these different ideas of how the concept of evil even came to be would have to rest and where all concepts come from in that world, which is God. And God, the Christian God seems to have the unique distinction of being called all good. I don't know many other God concepts that necessarily use that verbiage. I mean, you've got the theistic God, which has the omnis, but I don't think one of the omni attributes is all good. I mean, loving, but I don't necessarily know if that translates.
All good, though, Andrew.
Well, if you ask Andrew, it's not.
Yeah, that's kind of where this all boils down to, is calling it being all good, and from all goodness somehow evil arises. The concept of evil arises.
I'm saying, if you ask you, Andrew, the concept of all good isn't in the concept of the omni-God.
Oh no, omnibenevolence. He would be all good. Yeah, for sure.
Yes. It's definitely there. I'm a deist primarily.
Hey, you remember when you said it wasn't?
When I say that, but I'm a deist primarily.
You're a deist?
Yeah, primarily, yeah. It lies in the distinction between the Son and the Father, and whether the Father ever interacts with mankind in any way, shape, or form.
I don't think he does. Sends the Son.
That's an intermediary. That's not the Father.
Yeah, but that's it.
Yeah, not the Father himself. I think the Father has no interaction whatsoever with humans whatsoever. That's what his intermediaries are for.
Wait, you don't think the Father... you don't think the Father did any miracles or anything throughout the Bible?
The Father himself didn't do anything. No. He said he always sends his messenger to do it on his behalf. And most of you would have considered that messenger to be his son.
Well, wait. So you think having all of these, angels and Jesus and all that come to earth, you're saying that's not count? You wouldn't count that as interaction from the God?
I don't think that he has to necessarily do or say anything for these things to take place built into the system.
Wait, so when Jesus is on our earth and God speaks from heaven and says, "This is my beloved Son in whom I am well pleased," you're saying that's not interaction?
No, I don't think that's God himself speaking at all.
What do you think that is?
I mean, messengers announce the words of kings all the time.
Yeah, but
as if they are the king, and that's fine.
Okay. Okay.
Andrew, what are you trying to figure out about consciousness? What was this all about?
With consciousness? Oh, I wasn't really going after consciousness right now.
I have a question for
I
Andrew.
see.
What I was going after is what Uncle Andricus was saying, which I think is problematic.
How did I become uncle? Everyone is. Andrew, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Do you have any feelings on God's relationship to time?
Not a whole lot, except that we're just going to go with we're going to go with the A theory of time and say that that's definitely true.
That's silly.
And we're going to say that God. No, I don't. I wouldn't have anything really, anything concretized to tell you.
Do you think it's Son's creation, or is God within time or outside of time? Let's say it that way.
Well, yeah, I don't know.
Do you think?
I don't,
Do you think God's relationship to time, in any way implicates like how you understand a mind, like him being a bodiless or whatever mind?
I don't know how that would have. Well, I mean, the way he kept everything, thinks about everything, sees everything happening. I think that could be affected, and certainly scripturally speaking, there's definitely some time. There's some relative difference there because, you know, a day unto God is 1,000 years to man. That's pretty weird stuff. So
sounds like B theory to me.
Yeah, I don't like B theory though.
I know.
Okay, you guys realize it was like almost 100 years ago, right? Or well, 70 years ago. Like Jesus, let's.
One by one. One by one. Let's go. Just give me 2 seconds. Give me 2 seconds to finish.
Wait, should we run back another debate? Maybe as a tiebreaker?
I would love it. I would love to do it.
An agreement so far.
So the reason that I highlighted the we versus the they in this scripture, because of it's just I thought it was very interesting that the dead will rise first. For the Lord himself shall descend from heaven with the shout of the voice of the archangel, with the trump of God, and the dead in Christ shall rise first. The dead in Christ. Remember that. The dead in Christ.
I think that's the better way of putting it.
The Arctic scarecrow.
Of age.
Wait, so, what do you call it? OP block.
Welcome back to another comedy episode of Low IQ Dumb People who talk about nothing and are gonna waste a beautiful Sunday on Clown House.
Okay, and what's next?
What up, Richard Pryor?
Yeah, so OP blocked your talk. Okay. Okay. You came up here to say all of that. Blocked her.
No, I wanted to ask you all a question.
Oh, okay. Ask your question. What's your question?
What are all you gonna do today to better yourselves and improve the world?
Make another room.
Check my resume.
Question. I might cuss you out in 5 minutes to make this a better world.
The more you think, the more you speak, the further from the truth you're gonna get. So who here knows how to meditate?
Nobody. This is my meditation.
I know how to meditate.
We meditate. Whoa. Let me mute up.
Whoa.
Oh, my soul.
Freaky man.
Freaky man.
I've already meditated.
You already. Never mind. How much did how much did
I didn't need to do that, babe. I had somebody else do that for me.
What you say?
How much someone already took care of that for me? We don't. I don't know. Allegedly, they're saying $1,000 got split between 3 to 4 people. Allegedly, but I don't know. That's what the goo said.
Yeah.
I can't believe.
And as adults in this situation, we should recognize these inner dangers of making everything sugar, not only just for ourselves.
The vape scene, right? The vape scene is sort of like capitalized on that as well.
Oh yeah, the candy flavored nicotine.
Yeah, she did.
Good morning, all. I just wanted to say, the more you think and the more you speak, the further from the truth you're gonna get.
Hey, man, you gotta shut up, man.
Hey, the Patriots. Hey,
Man, just stop thinking and end your problems.
The corner pissed me off at the Jersey thing when he went to the
Spoken like a black guy.
Wow, really? What did I say?
I hate you so much. Guys, what do you call like a brutal car crash
where like CM's body parts like. This is it's like a good start.
I thought you were gonna make another blood. Oh, you guys.
Yo, why did you flag watching dirty movies backwards?
Damn, Sam kicked me. Finally got to them all.
What? The incompatible, like evidential or logical. Not logical.
Evidential, logical.
I did that for you.
Yeah.
I did that for you, Sasha. Logical.
Emotional.
Logical.
What I stop interrupting me. You know what I mean?
You want to PTR?
No, it's not.
Welcome back to another episode of Clown House, where low IQ dumb people will talk about nothing for hours all day on a beautiful Sunday, wasting all the time. Who kicked me?
Okay, let's just say Phone League is Mufasa, so I'm gonna go with you. I'm gonna go with you because I'm so generous this time. Okay? Next flaw. Okay? Semen.
More intuitive to assert that some people's are intuitive.
Julian. Said Dr. Julian. Hi, Dr. Julian. What are you doing this morning, Dr. Julian?
Yeah, I was saying that it seems more intuitive to assert. Like it seems strange to act like this isn't a common intuition. Like that's all I. Yeah, sure.
Wait, so Sasha, what would you say to that, the logical problem?
I stop. Yeah.
I know.
He's not. But the first, I don't think he's actually going for the logical problem.
I know.
He's going for the evidential.
Sounds kind of strange.
Well, no, Sasha's point is that there's no good distinction. And it's kind of obvious here why there isn't. Because what he's saying is that any instance of gratuitous people would logically rule out God. Right? And then
maybe it's a semantic problem.
Well, hold on real quick. What do you think the logical problem of evil is, testosterone? What's the distinction between... Yes. What's the distinction? Yeah, I want to know. Hey, I'm asking it because I want to know. What's the distinction?
Okay, to clarify, I'm not like some philosophy guy, and that's not my thing, right?
Yeah, I'm not.
But no, I will be answering the question. Yeah. So what I assumed the logical problem would be that given God's properties, it would be logically inconsistent for this thing to exist while God still being X or Y set of properties. That's what I assume the logical issue is. If that's not what that is, then sorry, dude. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that's the issue, but that's fine. We can just discuss the argument. This doesn't matter. But,
yeah. Okay.
I think maybe this isn't the best version of the argument. Maybe I could give some pushback on the intuitions, but ultimately, I just agree. Justice, I think it's sort of a successful explanation of the data by theism. That there's psychophysical harmony and fine-tuning. Just as I think those are confirmatory of theism. I think that evil is disconfirmatory. And so just all I really want to do is weigh the evidence against one side and the other. I don't have some this theodicy knocks it out of the park. I think that project is.
I'm sorry to cut you off. Can you do me a favor?
You're myself.
Could you trend away from all the jargon? I would appreciate that a lot.
Thank you.
But I don't actually.
Plot reincarnate.
Maybe I was jargony, but I actually don't.
I didn't think you were, but I have a hard time.
His rooms are full of jargon.
Well, hold on.
Just what I'm saying is I think the argument is fine. I could give you some pushback, but ultimately, I just agree that evil is strong evidence against theism. And all I really want to do is weigh it against the positive evidence for theism.
Katie is also a college soccer player.
Yeah, one thing you could do to kind of shore up.
Hi, I'm Danny. I'm flying to Sydney as Emirates cabin crew today, and I'm taking you with me. Once we've arrived at Emirates headquarters, we check in and head to our pre-flight briefing. After the briefing, we go to Dubai International Airport. We stow our carry-on items and conduct our pre-flight duties. And now we're ready for boarding. We offer welcome drinks, hand out hot towels, and
Okay, we are here at the. I don't know if you guys agree with the labeling gratuitous evil, but whatever. I don't know. For
This is a baby Jesus fit check. We got the official micro wrestling hat. We got the Jordan jersey number 20. Everyone says.
I should talk with this husband for a minute.
Sorry about that, Andrew.
So when I say I'm atheist, I'm using it in the sense of like a lack of belief in God, right? I assume you guys would prefer agnostic as the label to denote how I feel. When I say I don't believe in God, I'm not asserting that necessarily like there are no reasons to believe in God. I think I don't have a clear like physicalist or naturalist account for consciousness. I don't have like a great account for this at the moment. So yeah, I would agree that there is some like soundness to the belief in God or some justification to the belief in God. But then again, I still feel as though like my intuitions trend me towards not being a theist just because of the existence of evil. I just find it hard to like kind of understand your view that this positive evidence is more significant or more important than the negative evidence, if that's the correct verbiage, for God on the grounds of evil or whatever.
I agree with you that evil is some evidence against God. It weighs on one side of the scales, and I'm just saying there's other evidence for it.
Yeah, it's
potentially just mute your mic. Potentially outweighs it. And I gave you some examples of them. It's just we can discuss those if you want.
Sasha,
like,
this guy's hilarious.
Because the thing is, I don't know what I'll be disagreeing with. Like, okay, sure. Talk about whatever you want, dude. I really don't know what you're looking for here.
Can you?
I'm not looking for anything. Like I'm telling you, roughly, I accept that evil is good evidence against God.
Yeah, no, I got that part.
Shut the fuck up.
Whatever, dude. I'm saying I don't know what the fuck you want from me. You guys called me up here to talk.
No, testosterone.
I don't care about what you're asking.
Just hold on, testosterone. Second. You already granted the consciousness of evidence in favor. That's fine. How about psychophysical harmony?
Well, what do you think? What do you think
the ground had that? It's just like look. You were asked why you're an atheist, right? You gave your answer. Oh, the problem of evil. I'm saying I agree. The problem of evil is like a good reason to be an atheist, but there are also good reasons to be a theist.
Yes, and I acknowledge this, and
we can discuss those.
And I don't care. I'm saying I don't care to discuss these things. What are you not understanding?
Okay, great.
Jesus Christ.
That isn't what you said. You said you don't know what we want from you, right? I'm telling you what was proposed. Now you're saying you don't want to do it. That's fine.
Sure, man. Whatever. Yeah.
You don't care about
what testosterone does to your brain, Andrew.
Yeah, well, that's weird. Wait, testosterone. You don't care about the question?
You asked me the question. You asked me a question. I answered the question. Then you say, okay, do you want to talk about X thing? I didn't come up here on the grounds that I would be discussing any set of like.
That's not answering my question though. You didn't
agree to an interrogation.
That's not.
Yeah.
You don't.
Okay, maybe he's not prepared to discuss those other arguments.
And you can just say.
Yeah, okay, but fine. But like the point is, I think the more important thing is like, how you go about weighing the evidence, like for or against, like So let's say, yeah, there is evidence on both sides, but like,
fine, that's fine.
How do you? Let's say the fine tuning evidence, right? So you take that and then you say, okay, how does that compare to the evil evidence again?
I plug it into my Cameron Bertuzzi calculate.
Fish. What do you think of the fine tuning argument?
The fine tuning argument.
I'm not actively knowledgeable about it, so I have no reason to have any.
Passively.
Could I give a description and you tell me if this description is accurate? Before I say,
You didn't care to discuss it though, so I don't.
I'm trying to be fucking hospitable here, okay? So I'm gonna describe.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, whatever.
I think that testosterone is really going to your brain. Like,
yeah,
really,
this is a fucking issue, dude. Like, slow down. I'm gonna describe what I think the fine-tuning argument is. You tell me if that's correct.
Sasha, is this why you come on Clubhouse all the time? Because no one wants to converse with you in real life?
Yeah.
What's wrong with this fucking faggot, dude? Shut up. Anyways.
Well, that was uncalled for. Hey, why do you keep your ad hominem attacks to yourself? If you can't stand the pressure, then don't go to attacking the other. Just leave.
This is ad back. Brother, you started speaking first. Shh. Anyways, who was I speaking to? I don't know your names.
Your hair looks nice.
You're speaking to Sasha.
That's Sasha. To Andrew R.
Okay, Sasha.
Speaking to a guy named Crimson.
Or no, Andrew, you're the one that asked me how do I feel about fine tuning. So yes, I'm gonna. Shut up. If I describe fine tuning and that's correct, then sure, we can continue the conversation. Are you okay with this?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, great, dude. Now, what I assume fine tuning to be is that the universe is established within a set of physical parameters, or like a set of values or whatever, right? That enable life to exist, or that enable the universe itself to exist, whatever, yeah. And these things can solely be accounted for by God and nothing else. It's like roughly what the fine-tuning argument is.
The last part is wrong.
Okay.
I mean, that's not how I would run it. Just like,
okay.
Like, first of all, the datum isn't that it's like to allow for life exactly. I think it's something like it allows for embodied agents to exist in an environment with which they can interact and within which they can interact with each other. That's like, what I think the universe is fine-tuned for. And then second, it's just that theism better predicts such a fine-tuning than something like naturalism or atheism.
Thank you, Sasha. Respect.
I think a little bit differently, but
can we all just agree to stop with the jargon?
Jargon, interrogating people when they're not welcome to it, and then personal attacks. That would be great. It would make for better conversation.
All right.
Guys.
Guys, can we get
okay.
No personal attacks, please.
Please let Sasha talk to T.
Yeah, if we just all get along.
Yes, we can all get along.
The legendary battle. Testosterone versus estrogen.
Andrew, you really do know how to think.
Thank you, bud. Go ahead.
Yeah, anyways, Sasha, so my question is, you say that theism better predicts for this than naturalism or theism. My question is, why do you say this?
Well, it's like the hypothesis that God exists includes something like God is a good person. And it's like intelligible why a good person would feel like there's some reason to create embodied agents and give them a chance to meaningfully interact with each other and their environment. Right? So it's just like, okay, it's not like extremely surprising that the universe would be fine-tuned for life, that kind of hypothesis. On the other hand, on atheism, it seems very surprising, just given like the physics. Like we can see, okay, what range of parameters would allow for interesting stuff to arrive, and the range is extremely narrow. So that's roughly the idea.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, sure. I don't have an issue with this. Like, yeah, okay.
No problem. Thanks.
Can you invite
Sasha on this point?
Can you invite up Exegete this, please, Cloud? I can't get. He's trying to come up. He's been trying to for a while. he's somebody that you're going to want to talk. He's trying to bring this idea of God in his thoughts. Milt, you'll probably want to talk to him.
I have invited him already.
Okay, so listen, Exegete, hit your profile and hit accept invitation to speak. Hit your profile, hit accept invitation to speak. That should work. No, go ahead, buddy.
So Sasha, when you're framing it as fine-tuned for conscious embodied agents, you mean just embodied agents? Okay. I'm assuming conscious comes along with agent anyway, right? But okay, so is that the capacity for that? Is it based, so you know how the term like LPU is generally used in fine-tuning discourse, or is it so it's basically like
permitting universe?
EAPU? Is that what you would be saying? So like instead of saying life permitting universes, you want to talk about embodied agent permitting universes, or do you want to say the universe is finely tuned to produce embodied agent?
Yeah, I don't think it's about production. It's just like the universe is such that it can accommodate embodied agents who can interact with each other and their environment. It's something like that.
Sorry, is it fine tuned to allow for that, or to result in that? I guess.
I think to allow for that, yeah.
Okay.
Exegete, I don't know if I should be concerned that there's two real talks on the stage, but good to have both of you. And Exegete, good to have you, brother. Deepak, good to see you, brother.
Identity of indiscernible.
Yes, exactly. Exegete, you wanted to lay some hurting down on Dylan the Jew. Would you like to give him some?
So I don't have a whole lot of time. It was actually going to be engaging with there was a conversation early on pertaining to minds.
Yes.
And then there was a conversation, a dialogue about like theism and versus atheism and natural. So I guess one of the questions that I would pose is, I don't know who's a naturalist up here, but if you hold to naturalism consistently and purely naturalism, how would you account or justify things that are immaterial? So, in other words, things beyond the scope of the five senses.
Sorry, I don't think there are any immaterial things.
You don't think that there are any immaterial things?
Yeah, correct. Because I'm a material.
Okay. So how would you account for, let's say, the laws of logic? The laws of logic are immaterial, universal, unchanging. How do you explain that?
I don't think there's things that exist, right?
Say that again?
I don't think the laws of logic are existence, things that exist.
How so? Can you explain that, demonstrate that? So you think that the way that we reason and the way we do logic is simply on a person by person basis and just the firing of the synapses in the brain, which then we respond to?
No, I just think, so if you want me to say what I think the laws of logic are.
Yeah, I just want you to explain that. Yeah, what do you mean when you say that you don't think the laws of logic actually exist?
I just think that they're roughly speaking, they're concepts that we have. They're the thing is that I've not identified the law with a mental state that I have, right? The conceptual content, and what they are is that they're rules, for reasoning,
Right, so they transcend us.
Well, I don't think they exist, right? I don't think the laws of logic themselves exist, right? Our ideas about them do, right?
How could we have ideas of something that don't actually exist, but yet try to demonstrate? So in other words, what it sounds like to me you're saying is that the laws of logic are abstract concepts that don't actually exist.
Yeah, basically.
Is that what you're saying?
Pretty much.
Okay, well, if the laws of logic, if the laws of logic don't actually exist, okay, and they're just mental, conceptual, abstractional things that are like this.
Yeah, look, I don't think there are these things called the laws of logic that are like real existing entities that like prevent contradictions from happening.
I'm not trying to say that the laws of logic are like the laws of logic are not tangible things. That's not what I'm saying.
I don't mean tangible. I just mean like they don't exist. Like they're not things that exist.
Okay, well that's an assertion. Now you got to demonstrate.
That's what I
get the case.
Well, first of all, it seems like you were.
So okay, so if that's true,
hold on. It was a premise in like your argument, right? Correct? Like that was one of the premise you were trying to argue for God, and that's like a premise you're advancing, right? So I'm just saying.
I would utilize the laws of logic as a means of demonstrating that.
I could try to give you like support for why for my position, right? But I'm just telling you that like I don't accept this premise of your argument. So I mean, technically, if you want to advance the argument, you should say why I'm wrong.
Well, I'm trying to demonstrate this. I would utilize the laws of logic. Okay, so let's put it like this. Okay, God is assuming that God exists. Okay, I'm an Orthodox Christian. I absolutely believe that God exists. Okay, I believe that it's foolish to think that the world in itself came from natural means. I think that's a foolish idea and concept. Going back to what we were talking about earlier, or not me, but you guys were talking about earlier in terms of minds, okay, and how our minds reason. And as you guys were having this discussion, I was like, okay, well, our minds don't reason.
Hold on, wait. This is like getting off topic. Because you came up and said is that like there are immaterial things,
Yes.
And so materialism and naturalism are therefore just false, right? And then I said like, well, I don't believe there are any immaterial things. You said, what about the laws of logic? And I said, well, I don't even think those exist. So like, do you have any other examples, or can you compel me to think I should be thinking that those do exist?
Okay, so you can have the laws of induction. Okay, induction in and of itself that the future will always be like the past.
Well, I don't really think that's what induction is, but I mean that's kind of like a slogan. That's more like uniformitarianism or something.
Okay, or the uniformity in nature.
Yeah, but see, I mean those are.
Here's all over the law. Okay, so
if nature has
the law of gravity. The law of gravity.
Just hold on for a second, okay? Let's just say nature happens to be uniform, right? Why does that require immaterial entities to?
Because you have laws that are in motion that allow for uniformity in nature. So you would posit that random processes that are ungoverned allow us to have uniformity in nature.
Wait, where are you getting that from? I don't even understand this, right?
Like, that's what I'm asking. So I'm asking that. So to have a mind, okay, behind uniformity, structure, sequence, okay, a guided process as opposed to an unguided process, chaos.
Well, I don't know. Okay, let's disambiguate that really quick. Like unguided versus like chaos or randomness, right? Those are different.
I don't think so.
Okay, so I mean, let's just say that there are. Let's say I can give you a description of the. Okay. Let's say we have a physical world, right? Like a physical universe. Okay. And that universe has dispositions that can be described by laws, mathematical equations, let's say, right? And all those equations are doing is they're just describing the dispositions that this physical world has, right? And so it's time evolution and so forth, acts according to those descriptions, And the reason it's doing that is just because that's the disposition that the physical stuff has, right?
Yeah, but I feel like there's a problem with what you just proposed because utilizing
Really, you
math, for
think
example,
Eric is screwing Melania Trump?
in other words, math presupposes logic. You can't do math without logic.
I'm saying that it can be the dispositions can be described using math, right? I'm not saying the math is what's doing something, right?
Right. Okay. So there's some kind of like what?
All right, I'm restarting the
mathematical
live.
code or some sort of
Restarted
information.
after an hour. Here we go.
I'm having a difficult time.
I'm just saying, you start out, you say, okay, here, we give you, here's the universe, right? And then we say, okay,